we're moving to the last panel of the Research and Innovation session, Green Recovery and Blended Finance with Eva KAILI, member of the European Parliament. It's a pleasure to have you with us directly from the European Parliament in Brussels. Eva, what would be the European Parliament's role in implementation of the recovery plan to make Europe greener?
Thank you for having me. I want to thank also the delegation to Israel and the Climate Policy Forum for inviting me, and for also especially Andrea di NOVOLI for having me talk about a most important actually target we now have. Under the prism of the pandemic, the European Parliament and the Commission have actually changed priorities. It acted as a catalyst to change the way we would draft the budget for 2021-2027. So this means when we had more focused on the traditional sectors, suddenly any policy change happens through the prism of green and digital for everything. So for each sector, the transformation is not happening one way or the other, but both. So I think this is already a step ahead. So what we already discussed with Director important. So when we were fighting to have a better budget for research and innovation, now we are at the point that also the Commission and the Council understand the necessity. So hopefully we're going to have quite a good amount for funding research and innovation and digitalization. As you know, we have a 25% target just for climate activities until 2024, but also in the recovery plan. But we do have the next generation EU for the next 7 years, that everything now will pass from the prism of digital and green. So this means we're going to have more policies focused on agriculture, blue skies. Actually, I prefer, instead of saying green, the word sustainability. So this also is an horizontal layer that can change, we think, for each decision we make. We do have interesting tools set up and agencies. We do have the European Innovation Council and the European Institute for Technology, EIT. This means we have also worked a lot on how to work with pilot projects and go directly to the startups, support them to scale up. One of the problems we had in Europe was that we were missing in the scale-up sector. So the consultation, I think it ended a few days ago on the climate policy, but we had opened discussions about the green buildings, mobility, not just green in energy and infrastructure, but also the greening of the cities. So I think it's very important because besides the fact that this pandemic has caused a huge challenge for everyone and we lost so many lives, it acted in parallel as the catalyst to manage and talk more about this agenda and understand the necessity for food security, for environmental security, and redefine what is mostly important for people. Also, I think that a lot of people that they didn't want to talk about climate or digitalization, they crashed with the reality and they said, okay, so we are so interconnected that we have to start thinking about the future, because the challenges that come, they face no borders. We cannot just on specific industries, because we are so interconnected that we have to have a sustainable production strategy. So let's imagine Europe taking the lead and setting global standards on emissions, but companies moving to another place, a country that doesn't follow EU principles and rules, and doing business as usual. So you can understand that the impact in the environment will remain wishful thinking. We will play the green card, but in the end, the result will be exactly the same or even worse. So what I think we should achieve and what we're working on is to make sure that this 750 million that are going to be spent, billion that we're going to be spent, and 1.1 trillion that it's going to be there for the next budget under the prism that I mentioned. We create infrastructures for the future in parallel of setting global standards and calling for reciprocity with the countries that we collaborate more closely. With Israel, for example, we know that they are leading in innovation and they are very innovative. I've seen amazing startups starting from Israel, maybe moving to Silicon Valley to have more access to liquidity. But still, this means that there is intelligence and understanding of what are the problems that they need to solve, and people are brilliant and they come up with great ideas, and the environment is helping them to be creative. So I think collaborating even more beyond our European borders is really essential so that we don't duplicate, we cannot waste more time. We saw how the environment has to be protected because it could it could become a threat and a challenge for all of us without discrimination. So in this case, I would say we feel equal against the coronavirus, and this shows that we can only be stronger together.
So thank you very much, Eva, for your time and for joining us.